Hi there, welcome to Spiritual Truths with your host Kerry-Marie. It is our 4th episode. It is my great pleasure to have a guest with me today, and her name is Annette Brosnan from Napier. She is the Deputy Mayor of Napier and also a business owner. Today we talk about her weight loss journey, her personal story, and how this relates to her spiritual truths. Along with this, we also discuss her service to the community. To help our podcast, please like and also subscribe. Hi Annette, so great to see you again.
Oh, it's so lovely to be here. I'm really excited.
Yeah, so thank you for coming along to be in this podcast with me on Spiritual Truths.
Oh, congratulations on starting.
You're welcome.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, it is really exciting. So first of all, we've both got hubbies of Sparkies.
We did. We shared a spark.
We shared the spark right from the go. So I first met you at the Melbourne Cup.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it was great because I was worried about being the only female on the trip.
A bit of a tradesman world, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're stepping into.
I just had a real sense I had to go to the Melbourne Cup, and I think that I was pulled there for a reason, because it sort of gave me some inspiration to start my podcast. So I met Gavin and I met you as well.
Yeah, it was a really fun trip, and I love meeting you guys, and I feel like we formed quite a cool little group.
It was amazing. I felt quite sad when you all left and dissipated. It was like really, really difficult. So I'm just going to say, remember we went to the races and you said to me earlier, it's the first time you've come across someone who was a psychic medium, and you said, I'm quite fascinated with that.
Yeah, I was. It was. I think what sticks out to me was we had this awesome experience where we were all getting ready and we got all dressed up and we hopped in the coach to go over to the Melbourne Cup, and it was just amazing, wasn't it? The atmosphere, it was like a once in a lifetime kind of experience.
It's incredible. Yeah.
And we all kind of sat down and we got into our seats, and everyone was looking at you. That's what I remember. Everyone was like, "Oh well, we've got a psychic medium on our,
my goodness,
on our crew. Where should we lay our bets?"
No pressure.
No pressure. And what struck me was it was you just kind of owned your gift, like,
right?
You were like, hey guys, it's not an on-call thing. It's not something I can just be like, yeah, those are all the winners, off you go team. You kind of took your time and you sat down, and I remember everyone was kind of coming up to you, and you looked through and you're like, right, I've got to feel about this one and I've got to feel about this one. And I think it was the first race.
Yes, it was, and it came in. Yeah.
And everyone was quite excited, right? You had this feel about the first race. We all put our bets on and it came in.
I know.
And then that just magnified that kind of experience of having you with the group, because everyone was looking at you for every horse.
And that came difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you owned your gift. You were like, it's not an on-call thing, guys. I don't have a feeling about the next 5, but I tell you what, that number 7 or whatever one it was. You're like, I've got a...
Yeah, because you don't usually use it for gambling, but I think sometimes if you're drawn for something, it happened to me once actually on another trip actually to do with Sparkies, and I was on a Buddhist mountain, and I thought, don't ask me who's going to win, and wasn't this Rugby World trip, it was the one before, and I heard Springboks, and New Zealand was actually the All Blacks bet them, and I thought, I've got that wrong, but actually they did win.
Wow.
So I think what it taught me is not about gambling, it taught me more about that they will give to listen to them, and the spirit will give me information. I'm not a fortune teller, but I get given information, so it's to trust the information.
Yeah, and you I remember at the Melbourne Cup you were just looking at the names as well.
Right, was I? Yeah.
And it was, I can't remember what the name of the horse was. I feel like it had Queen or something in the name. And then with you talking about how you were really apprehensive to go on the trip because it was a bit of a sort of tradesman group initially, but then there were a couple of queens maybe on the trip. I don't know. These things all weave together.
Yeah, it's quite fun really. So, you're also the Deputy Mayor of Napier. So that's, I found that quite fascinating, as other people did on the trip. They're quite fascinated. And I just want to ask you, so what drew you to community, to the service?
Yeah. I think
it's community service.
Being in service, I think, to the community. I get asked that a lot, actually. It's one of the things people want to know, sort of what drew you into local governance and politics. I've actually been in for 10 years now in an elected role. So
wow.
I was quite young. I was 25 when I was first elected.
Wow.
So people ask a lot what sort of drew you to it when you were young as well. So my background was I grew up in Napier, obviously I'm a Napier girl, and my mum was a nurse. My dad worked for the Department of Conservation for his entire working life. So I was a doc baby, as were my brothers and sisters. So we spent our weekends sort of out on the tracks, and Dad was always helping. He's a really active guy. He was always helping dig a track or do maintenance on this or build a walkway there or whatever Doc was doing. So we sort of spent our childhood, I think, out and about a lot, and that drew me, I guess, to service. My family's always been in service, public service, and in fact most of my brothers have been in public service as well in their life, and the environment is really big to me as well. So that's kind of the angle that I've taken in some of the projects and some of the initiatives on council, and what probably drew me to it was my local community needed, I think, a representative. And so when I was 25, I spent 3 months and I knocked on every door in my ward.
Wow.
So at the time it was 4,402 houses I visited over the period of just less than 3 months, and just sort of introduced myself, and was really keen to get on council and make a difference, I guess.
Make a difference, you certainly was. So that's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, it wasn't a small undertaking, but
no.
really rewarding as well. Now I've got this great relationship with my community too. People still remember when I came to visit them, and I get lots of community contact from that, because I think sometimes you think of elected members as being sort of way out of reach. They're not approachable, whereas I think doing that early on, I built lots of relationships, put a name to a face, and that approachability.
Gives you that feel-good factor. I mean, I always feel that giving out, you always get back. And as I'm looking at you, I can see this lovely green aura coming around you. So the green is about healing, but it's also about the heart. It's about heart chakra, about giving to others. So I feel you feel a lot from here, like giving to others, and I think I can see the real green around you. So talking about the spiritual side of it, so have you got any spiritual background as well?
Yeah, so I grew up in a Christian family, so we went to church all of my upbringing, and I'm a believer in a creator, and that's something that I go to church now, and I take my children to church. I have a 6-year-old and an almost 9-year-old, a boy and a girl, and I love the you and I have talked about this. I love the feeling and the knowledge that we're not here by mistake. That there's something beyond what we experience today, and that faith that there is something past now. Which I think really connects. I know we've sort of talked about how you interact that belief in a life past now,
yes,
and in a creator, and I think they actually gel really well.
Yes, you do it more though, like a religious side, but you're sort of open to people like me, because some people who are sort of religious are not really open to psychic mediums. So how does that make you feel?
I think that's really interesting personally, because I think if you believe that there is a world past, or if you believe there is a place past the world we're in now, so whether that be a God or a creator or whatever you believe in, then you do believe that people go on.
Yes, you do, right? Forever. Definitely. There's no doubt in my mind about that one.
So if you believe people go on, how can you not believe that there could be a touch point with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you. So I'm just going to ask you, so for your own spiritual truth, so how did you find your own spiritual truth? Because we talked about that, but finding yourself. Can you just tell me a little about that journey, about finding yourself?
Yeah, I think, life is a journey, right?
Yes, it is. It is.
Who you are, and
it
what
is a journey,
motivates you. I think, so for me, one of my things I've struggled with since I was probably a pre-teenager was my weight. So I spent some time
makes you feel emotional. I felt really emotional when you told me that. I
spent some time when we were younger living with my grandmother, and she was a really hard personality, and as a sort of young teen, 12, 13, her and I didn't gel very well at all, and I remember sort of turning to food, and I think ever since then I've used that as a real coping mechanism. So when we went on our Melbourne trip, you and I were sitting next to each other at dinner, and I was talking about it because I'm really open
Yes, it's
my
great,
journey.
which is great because you help other people. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I, in May, just under 2 years ago, I had the gastric sleeve, so the weight loss surgery.
Wow, yeah.
And it was life-changing for me.
Really?
Yeah, it was something I'd sort of thought about for a couple of years. I'd sort of finished having all my babies.
Yeah.
And I really needed a kickstart. I needed to do something different. I needed to sort of break that mind
set. And something for yourself, because when you're a mother, you just give everything to your children and they come first, and this is now time for you to do something for you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It was definitely, it felt a little selfish, I think. It felt
Don't women feel like that, though? It's a woman thing.
Yeah, and it felt, I think there's lots of stigma around it, right? People,
so much, yeah.
People think, it's yeah. I mean, obesity is not an awesome thing to talk about at the best of times, but I certainly was in that place. So I think I was 125 kgs when I had the surgery.
Yeah.
And I now sit around the sort of 79, 78,
wow, a lot of weight
80.
Loss. Yeah.
Yeah, so sort of around the 45 kg.
Look great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And but it isn't a long-term solution.
Right.
I think when you're going into it, you think, oh, I'll lose all this weight and it'll be great. But really, it's just an opportunity to get your mind right. Oh,
that's interesting, isn't it? Because people are always looking for shortcuts or a short-term solution or...
Yeah.
So you can discuss it a bit more with me, because that's really, it's about this also is emotional as well, isn't it? And it's a little bit spiritual, or like that. I believe that the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual bodies are all connected.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all interact with each other. So you can just tell me a little bit about that side.
I think from like the spiritual or the sort of mental connection to it, I remember, and I'm sure lots of ladies will relate to this, you see yourself in a picture and it looks nothing like what you see yourself in the mirror.
Yes.
And I remember looking at pictures. Actually, a good friend of mine got engaged, and so I was all dressed up, and we went to the engagement party. And I remember looking at her photo, her and I, in her engagement photo, and I'm being like, that is not me.
Really?
Yeah, that looks nothing like me. I got all dressed up. This is me at my most lovely, my most dressed up for this event, and it just looked nothing like what I remember myself looking like in the mirror when I got ready. And so that kind of dysphoria in your mind,
right,
and that was one of the breaking points for me to go, I've been thinking about this for a couple of years, I need to do something drastic to make a kickstart to do it differently.
Yes.
And then I've spent this last 18 months really trying to change my habits and using the gift that is the surgery to get your mind right.
So you look at it as a gift, not because there'd be a stigma about it. So yeah.
Oh yeah, and I talk about it with everyone, because I don't think you can drop 45 kgs and people not go, are you okay? What's happened? Or you've been working really hard. And I say, no, I haven't. I cheated, and it's amazing. It's the best thing. But I think the more people I talk to about it, the more, their friend had it, their mum had it, they're thinking about having it, there's actually lots of people who sort of have touch points with it. And so breaking that stigma down, that it is, I think of it as a gift. It's certainly been a gift for me, not only in my physical well-being, but my mental.
Your mental health. And why is it in your mental well-being? Why do you think?
Now when
This makes me feel emotional as well. When you start talking about the mental, I feel really emotional. Yeah.
Like, I've always been a really confident person, I think. Yeah. But there's that background where if you don't look like to other people what you look like to yourself, that can really, I think, erode your kind of self-esteem.
Right. And
it's almost an integrity attack, right? Internally, you're like, I'm presenting something that I'm not. Because what I'm presenting, what you see in a picture, is actually not what I think I am. So there's this disconnect.
Oh, there is a disconnect, isn't it?
So it's been really powerful just to
connect. Are you connecting?
It feels like a coming together.
How beautiful! So the bodies are coming together.
Yeah, and now it's my challenge. It's 100% on me to have built the right habits, and I still have biscuits with my cup of tea at night, and I still need to, work on stuff. I feel like it's going to be a lifelong journey for me. Yeah,
but that's okay. Yeah, it's helping you have happiness and loving yourself. It's self-love, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's an awareness as well. It's you do have to keep hopping on the scales to keep yourself accountable, because there's all these sayings in the Facebook chats about the waist loss surgery that the surgery doesn't cure the food addiction. Yeah. And that's so true. I think the food addiction will be a lifelong thing to manage. Yeah. And the surgery is one of your tools.
And it can go the other way as well, because people can get eating disorders as well. So it's having that fine line, don't you think, that balance as well about feeling good about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I haven't had a personal experience with eating disorders, but I imagine it's not too dissimilar, that dysphoria between what people see and what you see, but it's just flipped the other way.
It's a good way of putting it. That's a really good analogy, really. So it's also sort of, it's keeping that balance, isn't it? And it's fun to think of scales of balance, so that's really interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, so it sounds like you've got a really healthy attitude. So this is really cool. So I'm just going to talk to you now about, I've actually picked a card for you because I've got these messages from spirit cards, and I just so I picked a card for you, and it's really interesting because I felt a lady joining me as soon as I came in, and I'll tell you a bit about her. But I just got this card, and I just can't believe the card. You were there, and I drew this card out, and it's just, I can't believe how amazing this is. So I've got number 19, which adds up to a 10, which is a 1, which is about new beginnings. And the 1 and the 9, the 1 is about the beginning, the 9's about the completion. So it's about completion as well, which is interesting. So it's got, you want to be healthy, you want it to be quick. Do you eat raspberries or banana split? Your body is your temple, so please be gentle. One step at a time and you'll be fine. I send you healing. It's true what you're feeling. Take it slowly, you're almost there. Pace yourself, know that I'm here. And as I was looking at you, I got the aura coming in. I got this beautiful lady's hands coming around. She wants to give you a lift, but she was cuddling you as well. She came from, she was putting her arms around you. I saw them coming in around, and she just feels really beautiful and really sweet. So how does this card talk to you? It's just here. You can have it. You can have it. You can have it.
There's so much in here that really resonates with me. So, firstly, I feel like my life started at 19.
Oh, wow.
So 19 is a really big number. I met my husband when I was 15, and we were obviously childhood sweethearts and stuff, and we had a little break when I was 19, and I feel like we came back together.
Wow, interesting.
When I was 19, and that's kind of, and so we've been together for kind of 20 years, and that's what really kind of, I feel like, set the platform for my whole family. So 19's special. You want to be healthy, you want it to be quick, obviously.
I know.
We just talked about needing that kind of quick kick start.
And the choice is about, do you eat raspberries or a banana split? Oh no, who's telling me this? I cracked up. That's what I heard. So it's basically saying it's a choice. They're not telling you what to do. You need to choose this for yourself.
And I love raspberries and I hate bananas.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. That's really interesting.
Your body is temple, be gentle. Like I was saying to you, I think over dinner that time in Melbourne, that, I just lost my train of thought, but it was, I'll circle back to it.
Hey, you got to take your time?
Yeah. Your body is your temple. There was something that popped up.
Because I remember you said to me, actually, if I can prompt you, so you were there, we were talking about it, because I was fascinated with your journey, and I thought, what really impressed me is that you're so open about it. I thought, wow, you're so brave and open. I just respected you so much for that. But you said to me, but it's here. It comes to this. This is a bit that you remember you telling me. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it 100% is. It's all up here. And it being preventative, that's what I was going to talk about.
Right,
so your body is your temple. I think I was really conscious that, I always had lots of energy, even though I was overweight. I didn't actually struggle. People were like, oh, do you feel so much healthier?
Right.
And my answer is actually no, because I never felt unhealthy.
Wow.
I always had the energy. But I knew that being overweight over time, it's not good for your heart, it's not good for your hips,
absolutely,
it's not good for your joints,
absolutely,
it's not good for diabetes, all that sort of stuff. So I think actually recognizing that you do only get one body, that it is your temple, and that if you can do things preventatively, you don't have to wait till
it's too late.
Yeah, my hip goes, or you're pre-diabetic, or you get the sleep apnea, or whatever it is. If there's something you can do ahead of time, is what I was going around in my head when I made that decision.
You know what came to me very strongly just then? Is when, about the acts of service. So what came to me is when you're on the plane and they say put the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on the children. So to me, first of all, you're a mum. So if you get sick and you're not well, you can't be there to support not just yourself but your children. You've also got your husband, and really importantly, you can't be there to help the community. So you've been given this gift of life, and your body's your temple, because your soul is within, your spirit's connected to your body, your soul is within, and so it's your temple to look after it, and it's a gift. And so there is choices around this. There's some things that people just unfortunately die, and it's not their fault, it just happens. But there is situations where you can actually do something to have the best life possible, and so you're helping yourself and your temple and your body so you can be there to help others, not just yourself but others as well. That came in quite strong.
And I think you're right, that helping others thing. Like I think you mentioned generosity before, and like I'm quite a strong personality. I'm really black and white. You know, when you do your personality typing, I'm always the red dot or the the assertive one, and that serves me well in council. I love a good debate. I love a good discussion. Love trying to convince people of like an action or something like that, and so I really enjoy that, and all my colleagues will tell you that. But generosity, I've often thought, is kind of like the soft part of that for me. Because I love giving. I love, I'll often, I'm the person who'll pay for the groceries for the person in front of me if there's something going on with the card or whatever it is. I just, there's something special about people when you hit them with something unexpected.
You know what that's called? That's called Earth Angels. I really believe there's earth angels, and I always believe that the right person, someone will come along. It might not be who you expect when you need it, when you least expect at the right time. So I would say you're a bit of an earth angel. And earth angels don't always have the easiest lives either, which is quite interesting. So you might have had some difficulties as well as a child. I would say that. So this lady that came in, she passed when you were young. Well, she was too young to die, and I feel she wants to give you some flowers. She loved flowers, and you're just so important to her. I think there's a spiritual connection between the two of you. I can smell her perfume. She's got this beautiful sweet perfume. I can smell it, and very generous as well, and just loved you so much. And I just want to say she's spontaneous. She feels feminine. She likes the way in our colour. She likes us dressing up. I feel I want to dance. I want to dance. So she's connected to you, isn't she?
I know who you're talking about. Has she shown you what sort of flowers by interest?
She just said, I get lots of colourful flowers. Yeah, and some purple. Mixed in purple. You know what I'm talking about? She's showing me the purple flowers.
I do. Her name was Rose.
Oh my goodness! I nearly said Rose, but I didn't. I nearly said Rose.
I was wondering, and she was my godmother.
Wow!
And she was an amazing giver. She was an amazing lady. And she unfortunately took her own life when I was about 15. And we were really close. And I think it was after I went through this sort of tough time when I was a pre-teenager with my grandmother, I spent quite a bit of time with Rose. And
so your mum wasn't around?
No, my mum was. My mum was, and I had a great relationship with my mum. But it was actually the relationship with my grandmother, and because we were living with her at the time, it was like needing some distance. So I stayed with Rose. She would have me often, and she was such a giver. She ran a home for women, like I suppose it's like a women's refuge.
Wow, so she's a real community person. Yeah,
and she had some daughters who are a little bit older than me that I'm still in touch with now, and they're really special. And she just
wants to give you a cuddle. But I think she's very sensitive, isn't she?
She was a very big personality. She had lots of colour. She was a bit like you. She had a beautiful bright lip and lots of colour, and she just sort of whenever she was in the room, she controlled it with her, outgoing personality. She was just a little bit.
Some people were jealous of her.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think that got to her. I think that got to her. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I was too young to understand what was going on in her world, and me and Mum have talked about it.
I think she felt ganged up against. Yeah, that's what she tells me. Yeah. And she made her feel lost. She got quite angry about this, actually. So you know how life is sort of unfair sometimes?
And I think she gave more than she had to give.
Yes, and this is this is interesting, this has come up, because this whole thing's been talking about looking after yourself, isn't it? About putting yourself first, especially as a mum.
Yes.
And you can, and especially when you're doing things for the community, or as a mum, like looking after your children. Women are givers. We feel guilty about doing things for ourselves, and yet she got quite tense. She tells me, and she hid it.
Yes, she hid it. So it was a big surprise to me, but then to my parents, wasn't as big a surprise. So they could see. I think some people can see you, right? And others not so much, and I couldn't see it. And I actually still have her letters, because she would write to me. She was my godmother. She gave me sort of advice. I was in this new relationship with my now husband Greg when I was 15, and so we were talking about that, and it just came as a big surprise, and so I've kept her letters always.
I get November. Was November connected to her? November?
I'm not very good with dates.
I got November. November, December, near the end of the year, But I think she's very close to your mum as well. Yeah. Because she said best friend. Yeah. Yeah. So she still really loves you. And I think she smoked. And she'll drink a bit.
Probably definitely a glass of wine. I'm trying to remember the smoking. It wouldn't have surprised me maybe at some stage. Yeah. If it wasn't her, because she was always surrounded by these ladies who were going through lots. And when you said the colour purple, that was her colour. And there was...
Wow.
There was
she takes me the purple up there. There's a flower up there.
Look, it's purple.
Yeah.
And there was another lady, Melzy, who was her, one of her ladies, who she kind of adopted, and her colour was purple as well. And Mum and Dad had a little purple angel under their tree for Melzy and for Rose. So,
how beautiful. And she just also talks about the feathers. So I feel the feathers are a sign of her.
Okay.
Yeah. I also feel there's someone around you that like to read books as well.
Okay.
Because I really get, and I do feel that your grandmother's quite firm, wasn't she? And and she liked books.
Lots of books.
Lots of books, and always cooking.
Yes.
Always cooking.
Yeah.
But nosy as well. I feel that she's quite nosy, a bit of gossipy, and could be a bit thoughtless at times. I feel a bit thoughtless, and I just think she felt like she had so much to do in her life. Would you understand? She'd be so practical. Made really good shortbread. Yeah, and she loves daffodils.
Yes,
love daffodils. Okay, but she just wants to say she's sorry. I feel that she's sorry. She just said she did her best. And she feels that she just, she liked the garden as well. She tells me the garden as well. Yeah. And she's sorry. And she just said, she sort of doubted in some ways. She should have relaxed a bit. She doubted. And she said, you're a really good offspring. You've done so well. And she's so proud of you. And she's telling me you've achieved so much more than what she did. Mm-hmm. So, sorry she hurt you. And, one day you'll see me again. And she says, I'll be your strength, because she's very strong, and stay true to yourself.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
I think my mum often says to me that
and she said you need to relax sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, my grandmother and I, we clashed a lot.
She just said clashed. She said, I was just going to say you clashed.
Yeah. But my mum would always say we were actually really similar. Yeah, we were just from different generations.
Yeah, I also feel there's going to be travel for you coming up as well. I think you're going to go take time off and travel.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
so I've been on council for 10 years, and we've got another sort of 2 years of our term, and Greg, my sparky husband,
yes,
he's really keen on a bit of travel, because we've sort of always been worker bees, I suppose.
Yes,
we bought a house really young. We've always had a mortgage and been working, and so we've sort of we've been saving for the last year, and we're planning to go away with the kids while they still enjoy spending time with us.
Wow, okay, that's good. She's just really happy. I don't know why. I don't know if she had some sort of sapphire jewellery. Okay. I think that's quite important, but I have to give this is such a strange thing to give, but I feel someone's going to give you some earrings.
Stop it.
Yeah, you're going to get earrings, because I want to put earrings on your ears.
Stop it.
Why?
My husband, for our 20th anniversary, has just given me there's a jeweller yarn in Hawke's Bay, and he's making some earrings for me as my 20th anniversary present.
There we are. So I want to put these earrings on you.
Stop it. Okay.
Yeah, I just really want to go and put them up there, and just making me feel aware of that, so she knows what's. So it's amazing, isn't it? With Spirit, I think she also she likes sapphires, but then she taught me to your ears.
Wow.
And yeah, so she's happy for you. So it just shows you that Spirit can see not only about their life, but what's happening for you now. And she said that life lasts.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to fear. And she said just to trust.
Yeah.
And I also feel, I don't know if anybody's looking at a boat as well.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I feel someone's looking at, I think someone's looking at a boat as well. Okay. So I'm just going to finish off, because just see if that happens, because I feel someone likes fishing.
Okay.
Yeah.
My dad's a big fisher.
Is he? Yeah, loves fishing.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm going to talk about is just quickly was going back to Cyclone Gabriel, because it was just terrible in 2023 when I was in Auckland, and it was like, lucky I'd left Auckland, but some of my friends had a really bad experience with the Auckland floods, and then followed was Cyclone Gabriel.
Yes, it was massive for us.
So how was that for you?
Yeah, it was a really hard time for our community. So Napier and Hastings, Central Hawke's Bay and Wairoa.
Yeah.
So all of Hawke's Bay really got hit, and we've actually just had our review released into the civil defence response, which shows, like you can expect a whole lot of learnings and things that could have been done better. But yeah, we had a few areas where rivers broke banks and combined and went through communities, valleys that turned into rivers, and we lost some life. So it was
such a disaster.
Really hard. We've just had our 1 year anniversary, and what's also been hard is the conversations, primarily I think in the Hastings district, with communities about not returning to live in high risk land.
Yeah.
Which is something that hasn't happened a lot in New Zealand. Obviously we had it after the Christchurch earthquakes, what they call the red zoning, but similar conversations happening in Hawke's Bay around areas which that sort of risk to life of living in some areas is too high. Yeah. So that conversation's still going on.
How do you cope with that?
Yeah, it's I think for me as an elected member, obviously we've got to put the right kind of governance and policy and stuff in place that we're working with government on, and it has been really heavily government led as well, but also just being a representative. I think being an elected member is a really hard position, because you're about the governance of the organisation or the business, being council, and you've got a whole lot of staff and services you deliver and things like that, but you're also a community representative. Yeah. And often those things don't come together in an easy way. So sometimes it's about education, always it's about listening. And what I enjoy about the role is finding that compromise, finding that balance. Yeah. And the old adage, right, you can never please everybody. Is never as true as when you're a local elected member and you hop on social media.
You can only do your best, and it's about believing in yourself, isn't it? Being true to yourself and believing in yourself.
Absolutely. And my observation of the people that stand for councils is they are often always there to do the right thing, and everyone just disagrees on how to achieve that right thing.
Right, we keep your hearts in the right place. Come from a heart.
Yeah, but that's democracy, right? We get a whole lot of different people with a whole lot of different views in the room, and hopefully we find a middle ground.
It was this thing about the heart. It was like in Auckland, our hearts just went out to you. It's like we just felt, what can we do? At the time I put on a fundraising show.
Yes, I know you did. It was so thoughtful.
No, I wanted to, so I didn't know. I ended up donating money to, I wanted to represent all areas, so we went to civil defence, and we went to also Kids Can and to SPCA, because I thought there's people, there's little children, and there's animals, so it's the best. But I think, because they're also having a show and Spirit coming through and giving comfort always helps people as well. But I think that feel-good factor, that people felt they're doing something, that giving back, I think that's just so important.
And with every disaster, thank you so much for what you did to put together that and to support our communities, because man, they definitely needed the support. I think with every disaster there's a little bit of silver lining as well. Yes. So one of the silver linings for us in Napier and Ahuriri was we the bad thing was we had no power, no internet connection. I know. And we had no roads in and out. We also had no hospital and no police cells. So that was for about a week for us, that we were sort of isolated without power and
Yeah,
communication.
I remember that, yes.
And I think that's pretty unprecedented for a city of sort of 60,000 people. But the silver lining of that was, man, did we see communities stand up and come together.
Wow, how beautiful.
Yeah, so we saw places and people pop up to support our vulnerable. We've had so many sort of civic awards and national awards for people that have done amazing things. Obviously, there were heroes in rescue situations and things like that, but then we had heroes in the aftercare as well. So, it was a real... and what we talk about as councils, how can we keep supporting those communities to keep those connections? And
so it's integrity and come from your heart, but I want to say, look, keep looking after you, because I feel that warning that came through from your godmother is like, look after yourself too. Yeah, and she said, life's not perfect and you're human. Yeah. And to remember to laugh. Yes. So, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I've really enjoyed it, and hopefully we get together again soon.
Yeah, I always enjoy spending time with you. So thank you, and thank you for the reading. It was, it was beautiful to hear from you.
And I hope you enjoy your earrings.
Yeah, thank you. I'll send you a picture.
Okay, thanks. Hi there. I really enjoyed the podcast with Annette. I found it truly inspirational and very informative. She was very open about her weight loss journey, and I think this may inspire many people to think about this side of their life. At the same time, it was great to discuss the stigma around weight loss surgery. Also, about how looking after yourself physically, mentally, emotionally and spiritually is all one. Each influences the other. The other thing I got from this podcast was how important it is to look after yourself, because Annette is a great service to the community as a deputy mayor. She really has to give to others. And by honouring herself and looking at her own health, how she can go forward and continue to help others in the community. If you haven't already, remember to like this podcast and subscribe. Warning: if you found aspects of this podcast unsettling, please seek help from a trusted person. In New Zealand, you can free call or text helpline 1737.